I love a good tag. So today I'm going to be doing my signature luxury look, which Sophia Sees Beauty started. She tagged me in that video. And I thought it was an absolutely fantastic idea. Sophia always has great ideas. To do a sort of get ready with me like she did, talking about what my signature luxury look is. I definitely have gone through different styles during my lifetime. I had a period there where I wear just like winged liner and red lips, which I practically never do anymore. There was a time where I wore a lot of like contour. You get the picture. But I feel like there is kind of a groove that I've gotten into in the last, like, I don't know, 5-10 years that would sort of be my signature look. So I'm going to walk you through that today. So first I would say, if you haven't been to my channel before, you haven't watched me before, hi, my name is Jennifer, and I am a lover of all things luxury, beauty, makeup, fashion, jewelry, and I was a Chanel makeup artist literally half a lifetime ago. So I do tend to favor luxury beauty over other brands, but I don't just use exclusively luxury beauty, although I find the older I get, the more the luxury brands work even better for me. But my skin is very dry, and so one of the things that I always do is use some type of moisturizer before I put any makeup on. What this is, the stuff I just slathered all over my face, this is the Guerlain Watery Oil, and I have very little left of this bottle. I have several other bottles waiting for me to use, and I feel like that just works really well for me as a primer. It sort of plumps up my skin a little bit, creates more of an even canvas, and it makes me like a little bit glowy. I'm never a lot glowy. And then I put on foundation. I will say that my foundations that I've worn over the years have definitely changed. My new favorite goes back and forth between the Chanel Touch, which I use all the time, and this new Clé de Peau cushion foundation. And so I would say for my luxury look, like what I always go for is I like to have something like a little bit sheer. I never have a full face of foundation, so I never use full coverage. So in my luxury look, in my, when I feel my best, when I feel like I've got it down, my skin is always like peeking through a little bit through my foundation. And what I like so much about this particular foundation is that, like I said, you can still see my skin. I don't look like I have on, a blank canvas. You can see imperfections, you can see sunspots and those types of things, but it gets rid of all my redness. I suffer from rosacea. And it evens everything out, and it just looks really healthy. It makes me look like my skin is at its best, which, is for me where I feel most comfortable and I feel like looks the best on my skin. So I would say that this foundation is going to work for pretty much anyone that is normal to dry. On oily skin, I don't have oily skin, so I really can't comment, but I would say that I don't feel like my skin gets oily. And, well, my skin never gets oily, but I don't think it's not the kind of formula that has like a ton of emollients to it. It's more just really good coverage and dewy. But again, since I don't have oily skin, I really refrain from commenting on that because, I know that it does make a huge difference depending on the type of skin the type of skin that you have. So next, what I do is I contour a little bit. Now, my favorite contour stick is the Westman Atelier. This is in Biscuit, and this was like the original color that came out. And I have a very old brush. This is a really old brush. This is a Charlotte Tilbury brush. It's a double-ended brush. And I put the contour stick directly on the brush. And the reason that I do that, instead of putting it on the face, is that if you put contour, or anything else, blush, whatever, directly on your face and then rub it in, it actually can move the makeup around underneath it more easily. So the better way actually to apply it is to put it on a brush or a sponge and then put it on your face. That's not to say that I don't put it directly on my face sometimes too, because I often do, but it is technically better to apply it like this. And I kind of do a little bit of a U, like a little bit of a C here, to kind of lift up the cheekbone a little bit. Not a lot, just a tiny bit. You've seen people that'll put a line here. That is kind of like the new, you know, if you've seen the videos where stars have had the, I think it's buccal fat. I think that's how it's pronounced instead of buccal fat taken out of their cheeks. If you do sort of a line here and then straight down, that gives you more of that look. It depends on your face shape and, you know, your bone structure, but that's what that is. I will do it sometimes, but honestly, I feel like it doesn't really work as well on my face shape. So then I take the other end of the brush, which is like the tiny end, and then I sculpt out my nose a little bit. Now, again, this is something that I don't do that often. I only do it when I'm really like putting on all the, you know, all the stuff. Like if I'm going to a dinner that's really important, or I don't know, something that like I really want to look my best, I will do this. But a lot of the times I don't. And the two things to remind yourself is kind of go into like your eye socket and then pull it down your nose, because you want it to kind of look like, you know, it's a natural contour of your face. If they're just like sharp lines down the sides of your nose, this is gonna look a little weird, just so you know. And then if you want to kind of get this like tip to come up a little bit, put the contour like here, like an H on the top of your nose. And what that'll do when you put some highlighter here is it will kind of make the tip look like it goes up a little bit. Again, it all depends on your taste, but this is how I like to do it. And then I take my finger and I kind of rub it in a little bit. Now, the reason I don't do that with a brush, you can do it with a brush, is that I feel like my skin is dry. And so when I use my fingers, oftentimes it actually works out better because the warmth from my fingers melts into my skin a little better than the brush. And at the moment I look a little weird, right? Because it's like it doesn't all tie in. So I tie it all in with the rest. So again, you've heard that, trust the process. Trust the process, it comes together. I put on highlighter next because I don't like a ton of highlighter. I'm one of those people who doesn't really go for a really strong highlighter, although I love the Rare Beauty one, and that one's pretty pigmented. But in general, I don't really like a strong highlighter. So I take usually like a fan brush or a very soft brush. My favorite highlighter is the Chantecaille. This is the Pearl one. This is the one that came out and there was like a bird on it. The bird is gone. But I love this highlighter because it has like a pinky white, it's hard to really explain this. If you can find this on a secondary site at a reasonable price, I would strongly recommend this one. This is one of my favorite highlighters of all time. I should have bought more than one. And then I put like a little bit here and then down my nose. And again, sometimes I'll just kind of, what this does is it draws the attention to the bone structure straight up and down. And it can, you know, kind of lengthen if you feel like you want to do all of that with your nose. Again, I'm one of those people, I'm like, you don't need contour. If it makes you feel more confident though, and you like the way it looks, by all means, you know, do what makes you happy. Okay, so then I take a little bit of blush. Now, my favorite blushes of all time have been discontinued. Those are the old Chanel blushes. This is an old one. And it's actually like in tester form. I've had this for years, like years. I used to work for Chanel. And it still has the same scent. I have to tell you, like the blushes of old, the old Chanel blushes, 10 to 30 years ago, were just so far superior to the ones that exist now. I can't even, they're just amazing. And I've had these for forever and they still are completely pigmented and they still have their scent. It's just crazy that, yeah, they're just amazing. And this shade is called Mocha, and this doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. And again, if you can find this on secondary sites, it absolutely is worth it. In my opinion, one of my favorite shades of all time. It is a pinky brown, but it's just a beautiful shade. It has some luminosity to it. It's really nice. And I have to say, you know, I was trying to match it for years and I've never been able to. So it's just beautiful. It's just a stunning, stunning formula. And it just, yeah, like I said, I keep these away from sunlight. I keep them away from everything, and hope to have them as long as I possibly can, because I've never seen anything quite like them. I came close with the new Suku ones, the melting blushes, and those are being discontinued, folks. So if you have access to get Suku blushes, the melting ones, get them now, because they're discontinuing those. Like every single time a brand comes out with something really superior, really amazing, they get rid of it. It kills me. So next is my bronzer. This is the Tom Ford Terra Bronzer. I've mentioned a couple times in my recent videos. I'm trying to use this one up. This is an old one. And it's still my favorite bronzer. I do have the new Hermes bronzer. I have it in shade 1, by the way, folks. I'll probably have some pictures up on Instagram with it. Shade 1 is actually lighter in shade, but warmer than shade 2, which I don't get, because I really don't know anybody who's super pale that wants a really warm bronzer. It generally just doesn't work that way. But anyway, so until I can see them in person, I think I'm just going to stick with the 01 and 02. I'll show you the difference on my face in an upcoming video, but I know that like 3 and 4 look cooler. I've seen them on other folks, but the thing is, those folks that have done that are much deeper skin tones than me, and so I don't honestly know if they're going to work. And I'm not going to spend $100, because yes, they're $100 on something that is more than likely not going to work on me. So, but I'll show you the 01. But the Tom Ford Terra is like one of the coolest bronzers that exists, and it's still my favorite to this day. The formula is amazing. It blends beautifully. It works on a lot of different people, and it's a favorite for a reason. The large sizes, the oversized ones, they got rid of a few years ago. I bought like 2 or 3 backups, so I have the big ones. I would not be surprised if Tom Ford didn't come out with oversized ones again, because now they're back in like the oversized thing. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Terra is my favorite. I have heard from all of you that you want me to get the Jones Road one, the lightest one, the pink one. I will pick it up so you guys can see it. I will tell you that Terra, if you're looking for like a cool tone bronzer, Terra is probably gonna work for you. I would also say, if you're really looking for a bronzer that has no warmth to it, then you're not looking for a bronzer, because bronzer by its definition, I mean, just think of it, the name of it, it's supposed to have some warmth. If you're just looking for like pink, honestly, you can pick up a blush and contour with that and use that on your face. You don't need to get a bronzer. If you really don't want any warmth on your face, if you want pink, you know, pick up a blush. Suku has a couple of them that I've recommended, different shades. Number 9 is one that have like a brownish pink, and you can use that. You don't, you know, bronzer, you don't have to bronze your face. It's not a necessity by any means. I like having a little bit of warmth, but I don't like, you know, yellow or orange. All right, so next is eyes. So you can see how like that kind of tied everything together with the bronzer and the blush and the highlighter and all that good stuff. The shadows that I go for when I am doing a luxury look, like my signature, I go for an eye that is pretty simple in its design, with a liner, and I'll show you in a minute, that isn't like over exaggerated in any way. I usually spend more time on my eyes than my lips. My lips, at this point, I use lighter shades, nude shades. I very rarely go out in a deep lip. Like I said, there was a time where I would do like a bold red lip and like basically bronzer on my lids and just liner. And I've done that, and people always like it when I do that. That's when I probably get the most compliments, which is interesting. But I tend not to do like a bold lip, because I feel like anytime I do a bold lip, it ends up on like my clothes. And I think it's because I talk a lot with my hands, and I feel like somehow, I don't know, I just feel like I end up getting lipstick on my shirt, or my fingers or something. So I tend to do a lighter lip and a more intense eye. But even my intense eye is not intense. I don't really do intense looks. My signature look is not something super colorful. If there's going to be a color, it's probably going to be green. But most of the time, it's neutral. I have a neutral look, and I kind of smoke out the outsides of my eyes to kind of pull it up a little bit. So I pulled out my favorite brand. This is Chanel. And I actually have the box for this one, which is surprising. Most of the ones I've thrown the boxes away years ago. This is Poesie 234. And it's a neutral palette. This is actually, I think it might even be my second one because I really like this color story. I'll swatch it for you guys. And it's very simple. It's not, you know, it's not out there in any way. And I think it's going to be surprising to folks because it's more cool toned than a lot of what I do here. Like a lot of times I'll do more of a warm tone look on my eyes for the channel, or I gravitate towards that. That's generally because if you do like a warmer toned look with blue eyes, especially if it's like an orange or gold, it makes your eyes look bluer. But I find like often that I will do a more neutral or cool toned look when I'm just looking for something glam, because I feel, I know it sounds silly, but I feel like the grayish kind of silver purples looks more glam than like gold or orange. I don't know why, but this is Poesie. It's like, it's not purple, but it does have like a purplish leaning kind of cool shades. It's just a really nice, it's a really nice wand. Again, it's old. I don't even know how old it is, to be honest with you. But it's old. It's been around for quite some time. I like the Chanels of old. That's just me. Yeah, I think they, I don't know, back in the day, I feel like they had more, the color stories were more special. You know, it could just be like nostalgia because I used to work for them then. So, you know, I remember those. Now, there were ones that like, I have ones that I did have to throw out that were like square pans. Those are really old. Those, you know, eventually you got to get rid of your makeup. But yeah, I did have some like that I really loved back in the day. And again, those eventually you're like, yeah, I have to get new ones. But yeah, Chanel used to have, I mean, some really interesting color stories. And although the shades were always subtle and elegant, there was, you know, there was some oomph to what they did. And there was certainly I don't know, I think like a more cohesiveness with the collections than there is today. But you know, I get it. Styles change too. And it's possible that I just liked, you know, the style of the time. So when I said that the luxury signature look for me is not particularly difficult by design, what I did is I took the lightest shade, the whitest shade, and put it up in the brow and kind of emphasized the shape of my brow. And that's this shade here. And now I'm taking this shade, it's almost like a lilac, and I am blowing out the crease. So it is a crease shade, but I'm bringing the crease shade way high, so much higher up into almost the brow area to kind of tie them together. Also because, you know, as you get older, your lids get a little heavier, and so you want to put the shade that you see when you look out at somebody a little bit above where your natural crease is, because, you know, your lids get heavier and so you lose some of that real estate in your face. So then what I do is I always use my fingers and I kind of like blend the upper brow area into that crease, and I just kind of pull it out a little bit. Again, you can do this with a brush, and if you have a makeup artist working on you, they're probably going to use a brush, unless there's somebody you know well, because generally you don't use your hands on somebody you don't, you know. for obvious reasons. But when I was a makeup artist for Chanel, you know, I always used a brush, but I admit, like, I always wanted to use my hands because I felt like I had more control with them, but I'm like, no, because you don't know this person. But if you're doing it on your own, you know, face, do whatever makes you feel comfortable. A lot of people don't like using their fingers for makeup. And then I take this really light, it's like a light lilac shade, but it's not as, it's got a little bit more pink to it, and put it on the eye. And when I say pink, I don't mean that it has like a pink leaning. It's more like an opal kind of shade, compared with the first shade that I use, which is up in the brow, which has more of like a white. And I always, when I have like my signature luxury look, I always keep the lid light. I will never do a super deep color on my lids when I am creating like the look that I like the most. And even if I'm doing like an all over one and done shade, like, so I only have one color on my lids and that's it, it's usually not a deep shade. Like, I don't do like a black smoky eye or something. I don't do that on my lids. One, because I am older and I have more texture and I just feel like it drags my eyes down. And two, again, because I feel like I touch my lashes and I touch my face. And so if I have like a lot of deep makeup on, it's gonna rub off. So, you know, if you're somebody who like can refrain from touching your face at all, then fine. But if you're like, I tend to rub my eyes and sometimes I forget I have makeup on and I'm just like, oh. So I tend not to go, you know, super deep. So then I'm gonna take the deepest shade. And what I do with the deepest shade in any luxury look that I'm doing is I kind of almost pounce it like right here on the edge. And what this does is it accentuates the outer part of your eye. So depending on how you like shape it, and I'll do this in just a second, you can basically pull the look. You see how this looks like elongates the eye? That's what I feel is like most flattering on my face. And then I drag whatever's left a little bit into the crease, a little bit above. So again, you can, you know, see it when I look at someone. But I don't do like a crazy outer wing or, you know, the shapes, or, you know, draw something like a design with a pen or any of that. I don't do that for my luxury look. That's not my signature. I think it works and it's beautiful and I love those editorial looks on other people, but for me, it's not my thing. Again, this is, you know, Sophia's tag is, you know, your luxury look, the thing that makes it you, and the thing that makes people like, oh yes, that's a Jennifer look, or oh yes, that's a Sophia look. So that's what I do. Now, I don't generally leave it like it is right now because it can actually draw the attention down a little bit because you can see it's a little bit below my eye. So I take a foundation brush or I have a flat brush that I use sometimes, it doesn't really matter. And I pull it along the bottom edge of my lash line so that there's a line here that draws the shade up. Now you can do that by putting tape on, like before you put the shadow on so that it's already in that shape, or you can do it afterwards like I do. I do it afterwards. I think I never got in the habit of using eye tape. So I just don't. I mean, I think it's very simple. It's not like I have a problem with it. But for me, this is the way I prefer to do it. And you see how that creates kind of an upward lift to both sides. Now, again, you can also do it with a brush. Like you can go in with the shadow and create the upward lift with a brush. This is just, I find it's like, it works for me and it's the easiest way for me to do it. Then I've just sort of gotten in the habit of doing it that way. So like I said, this is a cool toned, a little bit of purple look. And my favorite liners are by Chanel as well. As you can see, there's a lot of Chanel that I tend to go to for my signature look. And There's a couple of different shades that I would consider using for this, because I do like, you know, a lot of the different like purple liners and stuff that that Chanel has, but the shade that I tend to go with is Black Wood. This is Black Wood here, and this shade here is a shade I've never really known exactly how to pronounce it. Noir Petrole, or at least I think that's the way it's pronounced. And it's kind of like a grayish black. Okay, so that's what it looks like before I smudge it out. So then what I do is I take a small brush. This is a Wayne Goss number 5 brush. It's a really tiny little brush. And I take a shade from the palette, usually the deepest one. Today I'll use the deepest one as well. The one that I use for like this outer V crease shade. And I'm gonna run over the liner with it. And I don't put a lot on my brush at all. Just like the tiniest amount. And then I go back in with the shade that I had on my lid, put it on my finger, and usually pop it right in the center of my eye. Like that. So in its design, it's relatively simple, but the 2 keys to it are that I pick something that has, you know, there has to be like a difference of each shade. Like I don't like palettes where they all kind of blend into one. I want to see demarcation. I want to see different shades in the look. And I want to have at least one deep shade to kind of get the more, not smoky, but like the deeper intensity on the outer side on the outer edges of my eye. So then I always curl my lashes. I always curl my lashes because I have long lashes, but they are straight. And I always use, without question, the Surratt eyelash curler. For mascara, there have been many favorite mascaras throughout the years. And it used to be L'Oreal Voluminous Mascara is all I wore. And I will tell you to this day, L'Oreal Voluminous Mascara is amazing. If you are looking for a cheaper alternative, I'm telling you the L'Oreal Voluminous is pretty much better than like any mascara out there, except for a few that I do use that I think are better, but there's not many. So the Calorie mascara, which does not come off. When I was at my conference the other day for literally 13 hours, I wore that, didn't budge. No flaking, no smudging, nothing. It's amazing. The Jones Road, which is really, really good, and it has a curved brush, which I personally really like. Then it would be the Guerlain, the Chantecaille, and the Marc Jacobs, which no longer exists. Love the Marc Jacobs. And then it's Dolce & Gabbana. Dolce & Gabbana mascara is an excellent mascara when you're looking for like a really luxurious look. And when I am looking for my signature look, what people will say about me, I think, other than the red hair, is that I always have on black mascara. I am one of those people that like, if I want to look more awake, if I want to look more pulled together, I put on mascara. Because my lashes are long, it makes a huge impact on my face. When I have mascara on, I definitely look more like done. And I will often go out without anything on my face or anything on my lips, but if I'm gonna put on 2 things, it's probably gonna be like mascara and some type of lip balm. Now, because I have such long lashes and because they hit on my bottom lashes when I'm doing my signature look, I always use the MAC Giga Black. It actually comes in a curved brush now. This is what I use on my bottom lashes when I'm trying to do a dramatic effect on my upper lashes, and I'm using like a really big brush. Okay, so that is the eye look pulled together. Now, the lips. Nude Brune by Chanel. This is my favorite lip liner. I tend to fill in my whole lip. I fill in my lips with the lip liner, and I go like, I overline the top like here, but I keep it within the lines on my bottom lip because my bottom lip is actually bigger than my upper lip, which most people have. And actually when I was growing up, I hated the fact that I had like puffy lips. Now it's very in style, which just, you know, is a reminder, guys, fashion and what people decide is quote attractive and what isn't changes. So just, you know, be true to whatever you like and don't worry about what other people are saying. Because my sister, for example, had freckles when she was a kid and she got mercilessly teased about it. And now people are tattooing them on their face. So, you know, styles change, fashions change. You just have to figure out what works for you and what you enjoy. And that's really what matters. And that's kind of the whole point of like a signature look, right? What works for you, what you enjoy. That's really the most important thing. And then I do a pink lip gloss. Now, Chanel 804 is actually my favorite, but I feel like I've used so much Chanel, and I do use a lot of Chanel. I mean, honestly, I could have done this entire look completely with Chanel and been like, yes, this is my signature luxury look, because I love the Touch foundation. I love the Chanel eyeshadows of old. I love the Chanel blushes of old. I love the Chanel Camellia highlighter. I love the new Chanel bronzer I use it in light and medium. I like the undertones of medium a little bit more. I love the Chanel Brune liner, and I love the Chanel 804 gloss. So just saying, you know, a lot of the Chanel products, especially of old, are definitely favorites. But I do really like the Chantecaille lip glosses, and I don't think they get a lot of love. So this shade, I think the name of the shade is Love. I'm going to double check. It's completely worn off on the bottom of my lip gloss too, but I think it's Love. But anyway, it's like a very light, almost Barbie pink, and it's very similar to the Chanel 804. And I love it with a neutral brownie kind of liner. And if I want something deeper, I'll use, you know, a deeper brown kind of shade. But the Nude Brune actually works like perfectly for me. So if I'm finishing up the look and I want to put a little powder on, I'm going to either use one of the powders, loose powders from Givenchy. This is the holiday one. This is the cap. They also had the lavender one that came out the holiday before. The new Christian Dior Rose powder, which has the Mitza leopard packaging. The Dior lavender powder, or the Westman Atelier press powders. And I specifically mean like trying to use this under the eyes, because if I'm going to use it all over the face, I really do like the Clé de Peau loose powder. I think that's really beautiful. But if I'm going for like under the eye, more like brightening, I'm going to use something that has like a little bit more pink or purple in it. And when I say purple, I mean lavender. So I kind of press a little bit first, the extra powder that comes off, and then I look up and press it in. When you look up, it makes it like it doesn't settle into lines as much, I find. And then I put a little bit through here where I do get a little oily, a little around my nose and my chin. That's the only areas that I frankly see any oiliness of any kind. Also, it's the area that I feel like I want to brighten. A lot of times you will see, if you've seen makeup routines where people are doing intense contouring, and I say intense contouring as in they put on like shades here and then shades here and then they contour here. What they're doing is they're brightening like this part of their face here, and they're deepening this part, and then they'll do like another powder like here. And that is all a way to contour your face shape in a way that you prefer, that you like. And the different shades of powder will do that. So when I put brightening powder here, here, and here, it does sort of brighten that diamond shape in the middle of my face. And my signature look would not be my signature luxury look without my hair down. I do have quite a bit of hair, and I am honestly, many of my friends will look for my hair if they're looking for me in like a crowd or something. They're like, oh yeah, I went to look. I'm very short. I'm 5 feet tall, so I'm hard to see, but my hair is easy to see. So I always use the same products on my hair. I use the Orbe shampoo and conditioner, different ones depending on different needs of my hair. I use Royal Blowout Spray when I'm trying to keep it straight. When I do my hair like this, nobody loves to hear this, but I actually do very little. What I do is I wash my hair. I put in like a leave-in conditioner. I have an Orbe one. I have a it's called Super Milk or something like that. I honestly can't remember right now. And then I wrap my hair in the Aqueous towel and let it dry a little bit. Then I dry my hair with my Dyson, and I basically like curl with a big round brush the front of my hair, and the rest of my hair I dry with a Dyson Airwrap, and that's pretty much it. So my hair is really thick and coarse, and it holds a curl very well. So I tend to, like, this is like day 3. The first day, the curls were much tighter, and then I usually go like 3 or 4 days and they loosen up, and this is what I get. To do a bouncy blowout, I can also do that with a big round brush, but honestly it works better when someone else does it than when I do it, because it's hard to get the size in the back of your hair when you have as much hair as I do, and it's actually very long right now. And in fact, this will probably be the last video that you see of me with my hair this long. I'm gonna get my semi-annual 6 inches cut off, and it comes right back, so nobody worry. I can't actually do really short haircuts because they don't last very long. My hair just grows too fast. But this is my luxury look. This is my signature look. This is kind of how I feel like most confident, most comfortable in my makeup and, you know, my hair. I think that most people would tell you that if they saw this makeup look, they'd be like, yes, that's absolutely Jennifer. So hopefully that was all interesting and helpful to you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them below. Thank you so much, Sophia Sees Beauty, for creating this tag. It was a lot of fun to do. I hope others will pick it up as well. And thanks to everybody for watching today. I really do appreciate it. I hope to see you in another video really soon.